most effective strength and conditioning exercises for boxing.
What exercises makes the most progress in the athletes that you train overall, especially if you've only got limited time with them to train with them each week? That's a really, really good question. And when I get this question about what is the single exercise that I'd use, what's the most impactful one, it's very difficult for me to answer, because even in boxing overall, part of a massive jigsaw in terms of what each little area has a big contribution to the full picture. So strength and conditioning is just one tiny little bit. And then you've got your high intensity conditioning, you've got making weight, your nutrition, your recovery, your boxing, sparring, pad work, bag work, shadow boxing, psychological preparation. Everything kind of fits into the bigger picture. So it's very difficult for me to choose one specific area where I see the most effective change. If I'd say one key exercise that I'd put in every single program would be a trap bar deadlift. And the reason why is because this is where we can really load up the athlete in terms of targeting maximum strength. Low technical demand on this, even though you've got to get the movement pattern right, create some strong postural stability to create some foundations for stronger lifting. It's very low in terms of technical demand, so you can really start loading this up, and it's targeting low body rate of force development, core strength and stability, posterior shoulder strength, which is really important for the health of the shoulders, and also grip strength at the same time. You're getting a real big bang for your buck by using trap bar deadlifts. And also you can manipulate the volumes and intensity of the trap bar deadlift as well. So if you're wanting to target maximum strength, you can do some heavy lifting. If you want to go even higher than maximum strength, you can do trap bar deadlifts from blocks. Then you can start working down the force velocity curve, where you're working more on explosive actions. So you can add bands to the trap bar deadlift to work more strength speed. You can attach a gym aware to it to give an athlete feedback on velocity-based training and go on lesser loads, let's say about 80% 1 rep max, or maybe even 75% 1 rep max, and have velocity targets to encourage speed and intent and rate of force development. Then also you can start transitioning the trap bar deadlift into a trap bar jump. So instead of going decelerating at the end and keeping your feet on the floor, you can accelerate all the way through into a trap bar jump. And then this is going to be working in that strength speed and speed strength phases. One exercise that I'd always put in every single program would be a trap bar deadlift. In terms of conditioning, the main one that I would use is the air bike. The air bike is a fantastic tool where you can manipulate the volumes and intensity to work on different fitness adaptations. The main reason why I choose the air bike over running, working on a treadmill or a curved treadmill, is because you can go to them extreme intensities on an air bike. Something that would be quite risky to do on a treadmill, because obviously higher force demands going through the lower limb, you might end up getting fatigued and injured from this. So we can do on the air bike, we can do max effort sprints, 30-second max out sprints, and really push our athletes to them extreme levels of fatigue. Push to these parts, this is where we're going to get our adaptation, especially on the 30-second sprints. More or less gone around the houses there to say the 1 or 2 key things that I put in every single program. That would be a trap bar deadlift and the air bike. Beyond a vertical jump, what are your favorite low-tech ways to measure improvements in power and rate of force development? So in terms of low body rate of force development, I would always go with the jump if you're looking for low-tech solutions. And I'll explain a little bit more why as this answer goes on. But the jump would be the primary tool to be able to test low body impulse and low body rate of force development. If you are using force plates, the vertical jump height has a strong correlation to the amount of vertical impulse that you are creating. So that's the reason why we use the vertical jump. We normally use the orbital jump, which creates calculations based off the time off the floor to give feedback in terms of how high an athlete is jumping. This is pretty much a gold standard way to be able to test vertical jump height. You've got other variations such as output sports device, but obviously this comes at an expense. A very low expense way to test the vertical jump height would be with a My Jump 2 app, which is on your smartphone, where you can film in slow motion, put some timestamps in place, and it calculates vertical jump height. And there's a few different testing methods within this app as well. So it's a really good tool to use, and encourage most strength and conditioning coaches to download this app because it's a very low cost way to be able to test jump height, and also it's quite reliable and valid as well. So go and check out the MyJump2 app. In terms of punching power and upper body power, we would look at doing the landmine punch throw. Obviously, this is connected to the GymAware, which is a piece of high-tech kit, but to do this in a low-tech setting would be to use a med ball punch throw. We use a 3 kilo medicine ball, and we use a tape measure to calculate the distance on how far that you're throwing it. And this is a reliable hand speed and also like its upper body power, depending on how much involvement that you get from the lower body and from the torso. We prefer to twist that torso and the lower body because we want to replicate a punch. In terms of other tests that we use for rate of force development and strength for athletes, we use the load velocity profile. And load velocity profile we can do on a loaded jump, and we can also do it on a trap bar deadlift. With the loaded jump, we can use, again, output spot, so you can use the MyJump app to then create a profile and base it on the amount of jump height that an athlete gets versus the amount of load that they are jumping with. That's their body mass and weight that's on the trap bar. Then we do trap bar load velocity profiles. This is with the GymAware, where we're looking at how that velocity is maintained over heavier loads. To replicate this, you could be using RPE, for example, so rate of perceived exertion, and looking at an athlete's, basically how hard an athlete is finding a certain load at. And you can plot this along the line. Let's say 150 kilos that they're lifting. Last time it was a 9 out of 10. This time it's only a 7 out of 10. So that shows the coach and to the athlete that actually they're finding this weight a little bit easier to do. So that's probably a low-tech way to be able to test whether somebody's getting stronger and more explosive. And then just going back onto the jumps, if you don't have the MyJump2 app, you can do vertical jump measures against the wall and being able to measure how high somebody is jumping on the wall, taking away height and arm length to then calculate what their actual jump height is. And then a very low-tech way to test rate of force development would be to do a broad jump. So getting a tape measure and doing a broad jump and testing the amount of distance that an athlete's covering. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button so you can join the other 100,000 subscribers that are supporting the channel. And this will support the growth of the channel so it can bring you even bigger and better content.